this episode, we step back from individual controls and look at the bigger picture, which is how all of these cloud security practices connect to business decisions that leaders must defend. Technical teams often focus on encryption, monitoring, and access policies, but executives and boards focus on risk, cost, reputation, and regulatory exposure. Risk management and compliance are the bridge between technical safeguards and strategic decision-making. Translating cloud risk into defensible business decisions means explaining what could go wrong, how likely it is, how severe the impact would be, and what the organization is doing about it. When you understand this translation process, you begin to see security not as a technical checklist, but as a structured way to inform and justify choices. That shift is critical for anyone preparing for leadership-level cloud security responsibilities. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to our course companion books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at cyber.author.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. Risk in cloud environments refers to the possibility that a threat will exploit a vulnerability and cause harm. Threats might include attackers, insiders, system failures, or even natural disasters, while vulnerabilities are weaknesses in configurations, processes, or controls. The impact of a risk event can range from minor service disruption to severe financial loss or regulatory penalties. Translating risk into business language requires expressing these technical realities in terms that decision-makers understand. Instead of saying a storage bucket is misconfigured, you might explain that customer records could be exposed publicly, leading to legal liability and loss of trust. Framing risk this way connects technical findings to tangible consequences. Likelihood and impact form the backbone of risk evaluation, and together they determine how urgent a particular issue is. A vulnerability that is easy to exploit and affects critical systems represents high risk, while a rare edge case issue in a low-value system may represent lower risk. Business leaders must allocate limited resources, so not every risk can be addressed immediately. Defensible decision-making requires prioritization based on realistic assessment rather than fear or convenience. Cloud security teams support this process by providing evidence-based evaluations of exposure and potential outcomes. Clear reasoning behind prioritization strengthens trust between technical teams and leadership. Compliance adds another dimension to risk management because regulations and contractual obligations impose specific requirements. Compliance is not simply about avoiding fines. It is about demonstrating that controls are aligned with recognized standards and legal expectations. In cloud environments, compliance often intersects with data protection, access management, logging, and retention practices. When translating risk for business audiences, you must consider both inherent risk and compliance-driven risk. For example, a data leak may not only cause reputational harm, but also trigger mandatory reporting obligations. Integrating compliance into risk discussions ensures that decisions account for legal exposure as well as operational impact. One common misconception is that compliance automatically equals security, but the two are related yet distinct. Compliance frameworks establish baseline expectations, while security risk management adapts to evolving threats and unique business contexts. An organization may meet regulatory requirements and still face significant risk if controls are poorly implemented or not aligned with actual usage patterns. Conversely, a strong risk management program often makes compliance easier because controls are already structured and documented. Translating cloud risk effectively means recognizing where compliance requirements reinforce security objectives and where they simply set minimum thresholds. Clear differentiation prevents false confidence. Another important aspect of defensible decision-making is documentation and evidence. Business leaders need to justify why certain risks were accepted, mitigated, or transferred. Accepting a risk might mean acknowledging that remediation cost outweighs potential impact, while mitigation might involve implementing new controls. Without documentation, these decisions can appear arbitrary or negligent after an incident occurs. Evidence, such as configuration reviews, monitoring reports, and control assessments supports the reasoning behind choices. Beginners should understand that written rationale is not bureaucratic overhead. It is a protective mechanism that demonstrates diligence. Risk appetite also plays a critical role in translating technical findings into business outcomes. Risk appetite refers to the level of risk an organization is willing to tolerate in pursuit of its goals. A startup may accept more operational risk to move quickly, while a financial institution may maintain a much lower tolerance due to regulatory scrutiny. Cloud security recommendations must align with this appetite because overly strict controls can hinder business agility and overly lax controls can create unacceptable exposure. Translating risk means framing options in terms of trade-offs, not absolutes. By presenting choices with associated impacts and likelihoods, security teams enable informed decisions rather than dictating them. Quantifying risk can strengthen discussions, even if precise numbers are difficult to determine. Estimating potential financial impact, downtime costs, or regulatory penalties helps decision-makers compare security investments against other priorities. While exact predictions are rarely possible, structured estimation creates a shared language. For example, projecting the potential cost of a data breach can justify investment in improved monitoring or encryption. Quantification should be grounded in realistic assumptions and documented clearly. When numbers are used responsibly, they transform abstract threats into concrete business considerations. Cloud environments introduce unique risk factors, including shared responsibility models and rapid scalability. Organizations rely on cloud providers for underlying infrastructure security, but they remain responsible for configuration and data protection. Misunderstanding this division can create blind spots. Translating cloud risk requires clarifying which risks are managed by the provider and which remain under organizational control. This clarity prevents misplaced assumptions and ensures that internal teams focus on their responsibilities. Clear articulation of shared responsibility strengthens both compliance posture and operational resilience. Communication style also matters when presenting risk to business stakeholders. Overly technical explanations can obscure the core issue, while oversimplification can distort reality. Effective translation balances clarity with accuracy, focusing on consequences and choices. Leaders need to understand what could happen, how it affects strategic goals, and what options are available. By structuring communication around impact, likelihood, and mitigation paths, security teams provide actionable insights rather than vague warnings. This approach builds credibility and fosters collaboration. Continuous reassessment is essential because cloud environments evolve rapidly. New services, integrations, and workloads can introduce new risks that were not previously considered. Risk management is therefore an ongoing cycle rather than a static report. Regular reviews of configurations, access patterns, and compliance alignment ensure that business decisions remain informed by current realities. When organizations treat risk translation as a continuous practice, they maintain agility without sacrificing awareness. Beginners should see this process as dynamic and adaptive. Ultimately, translating cloud risk into defensible business decisions means connecting technical controls to organizational outcomes in a structured, evidence-based way. Risk management provides the framework for evaluating threats and vulnerabilities, while compliance establishes mandatory boundaries. Together, they inform prioritization, investment, and acceptance decisions that leaders must justify. By framing cloud security in terms of impact, likelihood, documentation, and alignment with risk appetite, organizations move beyond reactive protection and toward strategic governance. This perspective empowers you to view cloud security not just as a technical discipline, but as a decision support function that protects both data and the broader mission of the enterprise.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit DailyCyber.News.